Hassan was showing some distension in the midsection on his side shots. At times he was letting it go and it was distending, and that's big. That's a big point against.
But we have to contain the abdominal section. Yes, this is that important.
Do you think, I suppose like the overwhelming question is like, do you think the midsection played a role? Do you think if Hassan had a tight midsection, just say it was as small as Iain's, like there was no sort of bloat coming out, I don't think it was like terrible. I think we've seen way worse in the past. Do you think that, I suppose I'll go through all three of you guys. Who thinks that, I suppose I'll go to you first, Marty. Do you think that if Hassan had a small midsection, he would have won?
Yeah, probably, but presentation means a lot, man. And like, I will say, like, I don't think Hassan, like, that front lat spread, like, I know for a fact Steve Weinberger hates when your hands are like that on your waist. Like, there's so many things that he can polish, man, that he's a show-winning bodybuilder. He'll be at the Olympia, too. So I don't think it's necessarily just the waist. I just think it's a polishing of everything. But if Hassan had a tiny waist, he's a Mr. Olympia type of bodybuilder, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I hate the hands like that on the front lat spread as well. And he's so thick anyway, he's better off putting his hands like how Iain's are and pushing his elbows further wide, I guess. So, and making his shoulders look a little bit wider. So it's really like the worst idea to do for him to make himself look even thicker through his whole section. So I'm not sure why he does that. Because look, you see on Iain, it looks like so much more of a taper, but Hassan is just so much rounder and more filled out. That's I suppose why I had him winning. Stan, what do you like? Do you think yes or no? Would he have won if he had a small midsection?
But yeah, obviously, I mean, everybody you give them a small midsection, you give them a big advantage. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like Iain's had a smaller midsection too. He would we would win. You know, like he's got a lot of muscle. Like Hassan has a lot of muscle. If you can put the amount of size on a body and have a smaller waist, it's gonna look insane.
Yeah, Stu, do you think so?
Maybe. It's weird because like everyone's given the shape battle to Iain here, right? But like if you look at his back poses and how they kind of fit together, the proportions and stuff, like I think Hassan looks way prettier in like the back lat spread there. And like just overall the way it looks, not just looking at their glutes and hams or bits and pieces, I think he looks a lot better in that pose and in the back double than Iain does. He's just kind of put together weird in his back, and there's certain poses for each of them really that are like really awkward, like the ab thigh is not great for Iain. He always hits it from the side. And then Hassan has like an 8-pack, so he does it straight on, and even with a wider waist, it looks pretty damn good. So, yeah, now I'm looking at it more, like I really could have seen, like look at that ab and thigh, like he's got a wider waist, but like that's really good, man. Definitely be in there, I think it could be like an apples and oranges thing, man, and I'm sure Hassan's going to go on to another show after this and keep rolling. He'll probably get better as he goes. I thought Iain kind of had it in the bag. Now I'm looking at this more and more. I'm like, this could have really gone either way.
Yeah, I just think there's so much roundness to Hassan. And I mean, I always say I wasn't there, and there's plenty of people that were there, but it's like how biased are their opinions. Because obviously, if you do a podcast with a dude, like when Marty was competing last year, to stay completely impartial was hard. And then I put them side by side, and you go, well, Marty wins more poses. But then you go, oh, okay, well, I get it a bit more afterwards. But so you sort of, it's hard to separate yourself from it. And when I'm at events, when I have clients competing, I always underrate them. I always go the opposite way and thinking, no, I'm trying to give them a level up in my head. And I'm like, nah, they'll lose. And then they win. And I'm like, and everyone's like, yeah, well, obviously they're going to win. I'm like, oh, okay. So I really struggle to separate that. So I think obviously the people that are at the event that, obviously I'm on a podcast with Iain and all that sort of stuff. it's going to be hard for them to completely separate that. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, I wish I was there so I could give a really unbiased opinion.
As a competitor too, like I caught myself doing this today. I was looking at comparison photos from New York. It was like, because Tonio definitely deserved to win that show. But now I'm looking at these photos like, I kind of beat him there. Wait, did he really deserve to? You start playing these fucking games, you'll drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
And calls just go the way they go sometimes, and you gotta deal with it. So.
Yeah, to me, with you in New York, had I been there, maybe I'd see it different. You just don't know unless you're there, and there's certain people that look better in person, and I think Ian's probably one of those people.
Ian's 1,000% one of those people.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only one. Have you seen him in person, Stu? When he's
I have not, no.
Have you, Stan?
Yeah, the Olympia 2020.
Yeah, like up close, dude. Like I don't know, like Texas Pro when he beat me in my pro debut, bro. He was fucking skinless. Like in pictures,
yeah,
everybody was like Kuklo beat him, but in person, it was like not a fucking chance.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That showed what by photos and everything looked close, but I think you can still say Ian probably won it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that was around Ian's all-time best. How do you think this package compares to that package?
I'd say it's close. I don't think it's quite as good because Texas Pro, dude, that's in my opinion, that's his best look he's had to date.
I agree.
That or the Arnold right after that when Nick beat him because he looked great at that Arnold. Honestly.
Down.
But this one is another one that I think in person he probably looked way more wild than he did in pictures, because that was the first time that I'd got to see him in person, and I was like, okay, this is the first time I really believe it that Ian's no guys, really I'm disgusting peeled, because he doesn't have striation, so a lot of his muscles aren't really super striated, so you're like, is it peeled? But it's literally skinless. It's wild.
Yeah, that actually I always mention on this channel when I talk about William Bonac, but seeing him versus Sean Roden in Australia, that time where it was William's first crazy breakout show, it's like he might not have had all these crazy striations everywhere, but that hardness of the muscle and the bubbliness that you just it didn't translate as much in pictures. He still looked wild in pictures, but being there in person, I was like, if they give it to William, I'm not even mad, because he posed with such because Stan, Sean posed very, very relaxed, and this was William's first time out there as a final two call out, and William's going nuts, and when he hits that crab most muscular, I was like, whoa, that beat Sean on that pose, and I'm like, this is crazy because William came out of nowhere. But yeah, I understand what you mean when you see these guys in person, especially the ones that don't have the striations. People say it about Steve Kuklo as well, because he doesn't have that deep muscle separation, but when you see him in person, you're like, oh, he's actually pretty hard, and he's won shows like Ian where people are like, no way he should have won by the photos and by the video, but maybe being there in person, it's a different sort of story. And some people say about Hunter too. I don't know if that's a thing, but some people say Hunter looks better in person.
He's bigger in person than he's bigger than he seems in pictures.
Well, you obviously get posing with him.
Yeah, he's not that big. But that's got to be the worst for internet bodybuilders though, because if you look like shit in pictures, and then you got everybody on the Bison Tries comments just shitting on you, saying you shouldn't have won the show, and everybody there in person was like, yeah, he won the show. That's got to be the worst for you. I feel sorry for those guys.
Hey Stan, I feel like how tall are you?
I was 5'10".
Was?
Yeah, when I was doing class, I was 5'10".
Yeah, so you're obviously well, not the tallest out of us, tallest out of Stu and Marty as well. But I feel like when I see you standing next to guys, you appear much bigger than just standing by yourself. Do you find that?
Well, always, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Because even those couple of inches.
Sorry?
I thought you were taller than that, Stan.
No. 5'10".
Yeah. Okay.
Now I want to share. Sorry, 1 second. I just want to share a video where Terrick El Guindy and also, who else is talking about it? Paul Lauzon on the latest episode of Bro Chat are talking about this, I suppose, why Hassan Mostafa potentially lost the 2023 Toronoto Pro. So I want to open this up. It might just start playing straight away. So let's see if it does that.
Give us like a brief synopsis as to what you think put him over Hassan.
There was a couple things. Hassan was showing some distension in the midsection on his side shots. At times he was letting it go and it was distending, and that's big. That's a big point against. And from the back, Hassan wasn't as hurt as Iain, not nearly as hurt as Iain from the back. So that played into it. And overall, Iain's just had a more finished or complete look with the combination of conditioning, dryness, fullness, and the complete physique. He just had a better overall total package.
Hassan Mostafa, massive, great conditioning, but we have to contain the abdominal section. Yes, this is that important because it can be dysfunctional towards every single pose you hit. On the front double biceps, on the front lat spread, the transitional poses. And also in terms of the illusion, you have great legs, but if your midsection is coming out, then the legs are not that big anymore. And if you have small clavicle bones and the waist is coming out and the abdominal section is coming out, then you become even more narrow despite being a mass monster. Hassan Mostafa is incredible. He has...
So obviously that's from, a guy that was judging the show and a Mr. Olympia judge. So you can see there, obviously, when he's discussing it, he says, in the transition poses. So obviously the judges are judging the transitions as well. So that was probably taken into account, I've got to imagine. But yeah, it's interesting that there is, like Stu said, there's so much more emphasis on it nowadays than there was, 10 years ago. It was just seemed like guys could get away with a bit more. I think Hassan, having been judged 10 years ago, I think that he wins, like hands down. But I will say one thing, what Paul Lauzon said, saying Iain being more complete, I like disagree with that in terms of filled out body parts. Like you said, Stu, there's very few body parts on Iain. Maybe hamstrings. I'd say probably hamstrings he's got on Hassan. That he actually wins, like body part for body part. And it was sort of like that with Dorian Yates back in the day. He had a crazy back, but could you name any other body parts where Dorian dominated other people? Like there wasn't too many, So
you can say the same about Chris Bumstead. He doesn't have that one body part, but he just destroyed everybody.
Exactly, but he still has body parts, I think, that still... Yeah. But he still has body parts, I think, that you could say are like, in that whole lineup, they're like right up there, or they're beating a lot of people, I guess. But with Iain, you could probably say his chest is, where's that sit in the lineup? His calves and, certain other body parts. But we weren't there, and obviously, like Paul said, from the back, and like you said, Marty, it probably doesn't show through in person because he doesn't have those deep slits in the glutes. He's got detail in the hamstring, but it's like his skin is saran wrapped on there. And that was one thing. When I saw Branch Warren in person, I was like, I get it why he places so high. In photos, I'm like, why is this dude doing so well? In person, you're just like, holy, like you just sort of like stand back and you're like, that's insane. So I do get it a lot more, and I'm sure seeing Iain in person, he would have been an absolute freak. So yeah, it's tough to say. Hope you guys enjoyed this short clip from the full episode of Bodybuilding University, which will be up either shortly after this or maybe slightly before. The playlist for the full Bodybuilding Universities is in the description below, so make sure you click on that to see if the latest episode is up right now, and you can watch that full episode as well. So anyway, guys, that's it for this one. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, like this video, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills, here at Desktop Bodybuilding, including the full episode of this podcast. Anyway, guys, that's it for myself, Xavier Wills, all the guys at Bodybuilding University. This is Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are out.